Hello all, and welcome to King's Chaos, the only show where the hottest single is dropping the hottest singles. Hello all, and welcome to another episode of King's Cast. I am your host, Kyle Pepitone, aka the Kyng-Pin parentheses of Spades, and I am joined once again with another special guest, Mike Foley, correct? I should have checked before we started.
That is correct, yes.
Finally got it right for once. But we are in episode 22 of King's Chaos. I don't know if we're starting a second season or we're just going one season all the way. But today we're talking more about music, specifically album covers. Because if anyone's keeping a running tally, I'm at like 15 at least times that I've mentioned I'm an art student. But as an art student and a like major graphic design person, I love album art, and I get very disappointed when it becomes very generic or common when I see generic or common album covers. But before we do that, Mike, do you want to tell the audience a little about yourself before we jump right into the topic?
I would love to. My name is Mike Foley. Socials are not Mike Foley. Don't have to follow me there if you don't want to. I am a television and digital media major with a focus in production. I am a sophomore, currently going on to be a junior at Montclair State University.
Nice.
I enjoy long walks on the beach, listening to music, and my pet dog.
Nice.
I also enjoy making Kyle laugh. So if I can do that for the next hour, I'm going to be very happy.
Sounds good. Well, I have to ask you, I probably should have included this in the outline, but it just came to me. What is your favorite album art of all time, or at least in recent memory?
I think one that I really enjoyed, I've been getting into more Oriental art, so like Asian cultures art. I think it would be Weezer Pinkerton is the album I'm thinking of. I believe so. Let me pull it up. But I'm a big fan of Weezer. I know their music is all the same. I don't really care. Yeah. To me, it's calming and it's good for like background noise as well. But yeah, this is like, it's a nice, kind of different take because they're more known for their standing behind colors. Right. So like, it's a nice, like that's like, if you just cut off the top, like portion, that could be like a normal piece of art.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like there are some of Weezer's albums. Like I tried getting into Weezer because last year I was supposed to go to a Green Day Fall Out Boy Weezer concert.
Dude, I'm going to the same concert.
Oh, nice. Really?
Hella Mega Tour?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was supposed to go last year, but, circumstances happened, so that was out. But I decided, hey, I should probably, listen to all these bands because I knew Fall Out Boy and I knew Green Day, but I knew Buddy Holly by Weezer at that point. So I tried listening to some of it. Not my favorite band. They've got some good songs that I like, but overall it's not my main thing, kind of. I don't know really how to explain it, but the album art I really like, especially like disregarding the color ones, but I believe it's Pacific Daydream is the one I'm thinking of, where it's the earth and then it's the person on the swing.
That might be it. Yeah, Pacific Daydream. That's the one.
That's Pacific Rim. Thank you, Spotify autocorrect. Yeah, it's a picture of some little girl on the swing in outer space with the Earth, and I think that's a really nice picture. Like you said, like cut off the top, I would hang that on my wall. Exactly. That's a nice poster. I mean, most people hang pictures of albums on their walls to begin with, but right. Like I could see that as just like a normal art piece,
right?
Which I think is really cool.
Like you had like with artwork, it's like it's everyone's personal tastes, but there's some great stuff there. Like that specifically, that's like a good like if you didn't tell someone it was a piece of like it was like an album cover, no one would know.
Exactly, yeah, and I think that's really cool, and those are the ones I like to see. I like to see like like, I'm not going to say they didn't put any, like, not everyone puts effort into the album covers. I don't know the behind the scenes process of making album covers. It could be the most tedious process no matter what you do. But the ones that, like, break that kind of sense of reality and go more into the fantastical, air quotes, genre are the ones I really like. And that being said, it's so hard to, like, think of an album cover that I like above all the other ones, because, like, they're all so really cool. And I've got I will talk about this later in the show, but I got a whole, like, list of criteria of certain album covers that, like, really appeal to me. But I mean, if we're talking about recently and album covers that I've been into recently, I don't know. It's hard. I would maybe say Set It Off's their Duality album. It's a really nice. It's very simple in design. It's like a gradient background and then, like, a diamond in the middle, and just, like, the color combination really works well.
Ooh,
and
I like that.
Also, yeah. And the song that I've been listening to off of it, like, on repeat, is Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, which unfortunately I can't play on air. But if we do a royalty recommends at the end of it, that's probably going to be my one. So keep that one in mind. But that one's really cool. And, I don't know. Citizen Soldiers Down the Rabbit Hole is also a really good one. And I like that, too, because I really like that album. Which, I mean, why not move into the next question? What are some great albums that you've listened to that you just, like, not resonate with just the music, but resonate with, like, the album art itself? Because I've got, as you saw earlier, that I've got a long list of ones that I could name off right now.
Yeah. So good albums that, like, I can resonate with the art. This is going to be taken from, like, the great albums with bad covers from the docuset, but Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. I've been listening to that recently. I actually just bought it on vinyl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a big beefy boy. I'll mention it in a bit. But because that's a long story. It's just the deluxe version because that's the only one Amazon had. There you go.
Right.
Not that long of a story, but it's an odd choice because it's a face in, like, a bonnet, but it's a neon. It's blues.
Right. Yeah.
It's weird, but I like it. Like, I resonate with that. Like that, and what was the other one? It's slipping the tip of my tongue right now. I gotta Fozzie's Judas album. I like just the simpleness of the woman with the knife. You know what the song's about. It's like, okay, so it makes sense. It works. It resonates. You know? Yeah.
And the title, going more into the music, but the title track off that album is so good.
Oh, it's so good.
That's like Fozzy. Man, words are hard. Fozzy is really good. I like them, but, like, Judas remains their favorite song for me, and I think it's also because that's the first song I heard by them, so it's gonna have
same
that
thing
connotation.
Here, like, I heard it on the radio. I'm like, oh, this is a banger.
Yeah.
What's this? And I'm like, oh, this is really good. After the third time.
I listened to way too much music that I can't even name, like, the first places I heard many songs. I want to say Fozzy or Judas was off of my playlist. Like, it was one of those songs that kind of just somehow appeared on there without my knowledge, and that I came across and liked, and then I added the rest of their discography. But it might have been radio. I just can't remember, because it was also, like, 2 years ago maybe, and we all know how time passed in 2020, where 2020 itself was 2 years, so that's like 3 years now.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's 4. What are you talking about?
Yeah, something like that. It's it's not like time has corrected itself yet. I still don't know what day of the week it is. But if you're listening to this on 90.3 WMSC up in Montclair, it's definitely a Thursday. Unless you're listening to the rerun, then it's a Tuesday. But that's how I know my days of the week now at this point.
Thursdays and Tuesdays, those are good days of the week to know.
Yeah. Great albums with great covers. It'd be Ice Nine Kills. 2 most recent albums, Silver Screen and Every Trick in the Book, where One's based off of horror movies, and one is based off of horror novels per se. So, have you heard of, like, do you know the band or either of the albums?
No, I'm sort of starting to divulge into heavy metal now.
No.
With I think I put it down somewhere here, like more story driven. Album arts is Doom's 2016's like the original game soundtrack.
Yeah.
Listen to it. BFG Division is probably one of the best songs on there, and you know, the guy who composed it, Mick Gordon, did an amazing job. And the only reason I know this is because I've been playing a lot of the game, and I'm just like, oh, I know all these random facts now.
Yeah.
Like the company didn't want him to make a heavy metal soundtrack, but he went and did it anyway, and now it's like, it's really good. I use it for the gym a lot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was reading something about it because Doom Eternal, the 2020 game?
Yeah, that came out right at the start of the pandemic. That and Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a odd way of
games.
A complete clash of two games. But they came out at the same time. What was that? Sorry.
They're exactly the same. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, that's of course. I mean, I've just seen them mashed together in so many YouTube videos I can't tell them apart anymore.
Yeah, no.
But I was watching that game. I've watched playthroughs of it. Markiplier, I think, was the one I watched, but I wanted to hear the soundtrack, but it wasn't out yet because, you know, the game just came out. And then I was reading more and more about it, and apparently, like, Mick Gordon, right? That was his name?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Apparently he had some, like, falling out with the company. There's something happened where he was no longer the sole artist on the album. I think they, at some point, like, the studio or recording company or something brought in other people to, like, finish it up because I guess it was taking him too long. The details of the story are fuzzy. Keep in mind this was literally like a year ago to the date.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I remember. Like there was something going on with it where like it was either getting delayed or something, and because of that I've kind of forgot to check. It might be out now. I actually have no idea. If it is out, I'm definitely adding it because
people have been putting songs out there via their own accounts. Like I found The Only Thing They Fear Is You, which very good.
Okay.
Very good song, very good metal song. Mick Gordon knows what he's doing. Shame he's not there anymore, but
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, you know, hopefully you can move on to do better things.
Right. Yeah.
Just a side tangent. Another good song recommendation from a video game, since we're still sort of relatively on the subject. Chipping In by it's by the game. It's listed as Samurai on Spotify, but I'm sure I know the other account. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
It's from.
Is it? I was going to ask what game it's from.
Oh, it's from Cyberpunk 2077. You know, the glitchiest game on the planet.
And the funny thing is it technically works with the theme of the game.
Yep,
but it's not how it's supposed to be played.
No, not what you're playing it in it. I've played through most of the game. It's not fixed 100%, but it's like to the point where you can play it. It's the other artist listed is Refused, so it's almost fixed. It shouldn't have been released in 2020. That's my. It should have been this year.
The thing got pushed. I talked about this in like episode 2 of this show, but like it was pushed back since like. I think 2012 is when it was first announced, and it just got back and back and back and back, and to the point where when it did come out, like I was kind of looking forward to the game, at least 2019, I think, is when I first heard of it. But like it kept getting pushed back, and you know, video games are not the cheapest currently, so I kind of waited it out to see how people thought the game was, like got other people's reviews, like YouTubers and stuff, and I guess it just like slipped my mind or something because I don't own it actually. I totally forgot to buy the game that I was looking forward to, which has happened to me more than you would expect.
Oh no, I'm the same way. I was interested in Assassin's Creed Valhalla when that came out. I still haven't bought it yet. I just forgot.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why that happens, but the same thing happens with like movies too. Like a movie will be out in theaters, specifically like the Marvel movies, because such an expanded universe. I like to keep up. It's like, hey, that one looks really cool. I like that superhero. I'm going to go see it. And then I don't. I don't have an answer. That's just the way it is.
That just reminded me of like the South Park meme. All right, so we're going to take your money. We're going to put it here. Then we're going to move it over here. Then we're going to do this and then this and then it's gone. What? It's gone.
I have never seen that before. No.
It's legit like it's one of the funniest jokes. I'll send you the link over Discord. It's the kid's going on to open a checking account because he got $100 for his birthday, and it's just gone.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, that's truth humor. That's just what happens.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's unfortunate, but
yeah.
That's how it goes. But like, I don't know how we got from horror movies to video games.
Oh, well,
actually,
yeah,
I can kind of see it, but yeah, definitely like the heavier stuff is really cool. I've been diving into it, and Ice Nine is very screamo-like, so you'll have those screechy vocals, which I think kind of works when you're adapting horror media into song.
Right.
Like, they've got songs, Silver Scream has American Nightmare, obviously off of, inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street. What's another one? Oh my gosh, I've listened to this album back and forth and I can't remember a single one. Jig Is Up from Saw. It Is the End. It, obviously.
Right.
Also, if we're talking why the album's so good, the titles. The titles are just clever.
That is true.
Yeah. And then if we move on to Every Trick in the Book, which came beforehand, before Silver Scream, you've got Communion of the Cursed, Exorcist, Nature of the Beast, Animal Farm.
Have you read Animal Farm?
I have, actually. It's a much shorter book than I thought.
Yeah, I need to reread it now as a 20-year-old because I was forced to read it in 8th grade, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Pigs, something about a horse.
Yeah, I actually read it of my own volition because of Every Trick in the Book, the album, because you want to know the source material of the stuff you're listening to.
Of course.
And also, I really like books and I like reading books. So
right. Oh. You and me both, brother, man. I got a bunch of books. Summertime is going to be reading time.
Oh, I hope so. I don't like doing the work. I don't like doing schoolwork because it takes away time from reading.
You're right about that. But these are going to be summer books for myself. I got
nice.
Star Wars from different stories and Dune. Dune is going to be priority, though, because I know the movie comes out. And I'm intrigued, to say the least. Right. I'm a fan of sci-fi. I'm not the biggest fan. I like Star Wars, obviously. Who doesn't?
Right, yeah, of course. I mean, after... I don't want to get too into this, but after the later movies, I might be able to name some people
who
like
movies?
Star Wars. Oh, right, never mind. I forgot.
It ended at episode 7. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right, of course. It went 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7 Mandalorian. Well,
there you go.
I mean, throw in Clone Wars, the animated series, but
and
I don't know when that came out.
Can't forget Rogue One. That's one that I hold to the exception because it's really good.
Yeah, it wasn't. I kind of liked it. I mean, the end scene with Vader coming out of the hallway, that's
everyone's favorite scene.
Yeah,
but it laid the groundwork for people to realize, okay, we can tell more stories in this universe that aren't lightsabers and all that other stuff.
Exactly. And correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they in the midst of shooting an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie?
They are. They're in the midst of shooting a miniseries.
Oh, miniseries? I like the sound of that.
Obi-Wan Kenobi better be the most depressed person on the planet.
And I believe, I saw an Instagram post where I think it listed the actors. I don't know how true it is. I'm gonna...
yeah, I know. That post is legit because Star Wars and Lucasfilm posted it. So,
Ewan McGregor.
Hayden Christensen.
Ewan McGregor's back.
Hayden Christensen, man, I can't wait to see.
I mean,
I really hope
just
there's more memes.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm watching it.
I mean, the sequels are okay. Give it a decade. They'll be as memed as the prequels.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
There's nothing bad about them. It's just we're in such a very critical time that like
Right.
anything that diverges from a fan theory is like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah, that's true. And also, that whole thing of like directors, J.J. Abrams to, Ryan Johnson back to J.J. Abrams probably contributed to some of the mess.
I get what he was doing, Johnson, but at the same time, like, you can't just throw away characters that have been set up. Like, in the movie, he was like, all right, I'm only interested in Rey and Kylo, really, so Finn, go do this stupid little adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Finn is great. He's a great character.
No, I really liked his character. And the his costume design, too. I really liked that jacket. That was a nice jacket.
It was a nice jacket until Kylo Ren cut him across the back. Spoilers for a movie that came out in 2015 that made $1 billion at the box office.
Really? That much?
It made just about, I believe.
Wow. So, I don't keep up too much with like the box office stuff, which oops. I like, hey, big movie on big screen. That was enjoyable. All right, I'm going to go about the rest of my day now.
Yeah, it made about $2 billion.
Not bad.
Oh, yeah.
I assume the other ones did not make that much, though.
There was a dip with The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I figured.
Like about $1 billion dip. Oh.
Okay,
again, I mean... You've seen The Last Jedi. Would you really see it like 3 times like everyone else did?
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
not saying that it's a bad movie. It's just,
Right.
Back to album cover. Because we went from album covers to heavy metal to Doom to horror movies to Star Wars.
I mean,
a little bit of reading.
At some point, well, the graph made sense up to a certain point, and then it kind of just dropped off.
Oh, yeah. There was South Park sprinkled in there, too.
Yeah, but that's the point of the show. Getting as chaotic as possible. We went from spring to socks last episode. Don't ask me how that happened.
How did you get to socks? I mean, socks are cool.
I mean, well, not just plain socks. We're talking funky design socks.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I got beer socks. I don't have them on right now, but I got beer socks.
I'm like 90% convinced I'm wearing the exact same socks right now that I wore recording last episode.
No.
Yeah, it might be. I'm pretty sure. Okay, note to future editing Kyle. Look back at last episode. See what I say. I'm currently wearing turkey socks. If they match up, get more socks.
You get more funky socks.
Yeah. But just so we can get a little bit back on track, we're going to take a short music break. And when we come back, we're going to get right back into album covers and our criteria for what makes one good and what makes one not so appealing to us personally. These are not universal criteria of what makes album good.
Really?
Without further ado, however. What was that?
I thought it was. I thought we are the universal opinioners.
As much as I would love that job for album covers, I don't know if one exists yet.
Oh, that's a shame.
It would be a great job.
It would be fun.
Never judge an album by its cover, which is exactly what we're going to be doing.
You're very judgy people.
Yeah, a little bit. But, like when you walk into a record store, that's the first thing you see is the album cover. You can't exactly take samples like an ice cream shop. Hey, could you play 30 seconds of track 3, please? Unfortunately, can't do that. I mean, with Spotify and stuff, now you kind of can, but that's not how it worked back then.
Yep, that's just not how it works. As I said earlier, this is the big boy vinyl that I bought myself.
That is big.
Comes with a few posters and some VR stuff, which I did not expect. I was expecting
VR?
Yeah, like got VR goggles. Let's see.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that is how to do an album right.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to listen to it. I haven't yet. I'm very disappointed in myself. I got this last weekend and I haven't yet to listen to it.
Well, there's always time.
Yeah, I mean the weekend before Easter by that. I don't mean like this past weekend, the weekend before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that makes sense. But, like, obviously, with all the music out there, how the millions of artists, the millions of songs, there's going to be some parallels between certain, or not certain, but parallels between album covers. Like, I'm not saying any of them are carbon copies. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I know one album that is an exact carbon copy. Except I forget the name of the album. It was one of Eminem's recent albums.
Oh, no. It's Music to Be Murdered By, right?
No, not that one. It was Kamikaze, I think, was the one I'm thinking of. Yes. Eminem's Kamikaze album is a direct copy of the Beastie Boys' License to Kill.
Yeah, it legit is. I forgot about it.
I'm sorry, License to Ill.
License to Ill. I think License to Ill is... No, it's exactly the same.
Yeah. Like, there's slight details. Like, the text on the wing of the plane is different. But other than that, it is a carbon copy of the Beastie Boys album. And when I first saw that back in 2018 when it came out, I was trying to wrap my head around it. I'm like, how can you get away with this? I guess he must have had, like, permission or something.
The difference is that the License to Ill album, I think, is a Boeing, and he had a fighter jet.
Is that different enough to classify?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now, like, comparison-wise. And I'd say, yeah, it's different enough that it can be considered. You know.
All right. I mean,
because if you look back at the Kamikaze album, which I'm about to pull up again.
Right.
Because License to Ill is a great album. I've listened to it many times. The difference is in just how the plane is structured. Like, it's more smooth. There's like the thing. Yeah. There's like the aces, but the Boeing, it's larger. There's another jet, and like there's jets on the side, not on the back. It's small details. Like, I'm looking at a comparison picture right now.
Okay. I mean, I don't know much about like copyright law and stuff, so I can't tell. But like when I saw it, I'm like, that's Beastie Boys. That's the exact design.
Yeah, like it takes like looking into it to really like be like, oh, that's like a complete ripoff.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I think I don't think a lot of my friends noticed it. Like my one friend who mainly listened to rap music, I don't think he recognized the design, and I think that got me a little bit more annoyed because...
How do you not recognize the Beastie Boys?
A lot of people don't like older music anymore. It's a sad revelation.
We're the cool ones here. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah, totally. Although, I'm looking at the playlist of music breaks, and I don't think a single one of these albums was released before 2010. Oops!
You did it again.
But that doesn't mean I don't like older music. And I think some of the older music has some really great album covers. Number one, License to Ill. But with that being said, I've noticed there's certain criteria that really makes an album good or bad design-wise. Yeah. Well, and here's my thing. I have a playlist, several playlists at this point, of songs, of all the songs I listen to, or all the songs I've ever heard, more like it. But it's roughly over 20,000 songs at this point. The issue is I determine like what kind of music I want to listen to by the album. Mm-hmm. So like I will dig through Spotify searching for like artists with cool album covers, and then just add the discography to the playlist without even checking to see if I like even one of their songs. And because of that, I've run into a lot of artists that aren't exactly my style, but whose album covers I like, but I can't really connect with the music. Number one example I think of is, what's its face? Power metal. Anything power metal is up in the air for me, because I don't really connect much with power metal, but they have such great cinematic storytelling album covers. They've got like robots and dragons and futuristic stuff and all that cool stuff that I'm into. It's all the sci-fi, fantasy, all the fictional genres that I love. But that's the problem. And that's the first thing that really makes an album cover look good to me. It is the creativity of it and the cinematicness of it. And you also have said you like albums like that, right?
Yeah, I like albums that are more, that stand out to me. Like,
right,
I'm not
exactly.
going to pick, for example, I'm not going to pick up Lord's Pure Heroin just because that's what it's like. It's an all black album with that white text. I'm not going to pick that up. No,
right.
I don't have interest in that. But a picture of take News of the World by Queen or Jazz by Queen.
Yeah.
They're weird. They're different. And while you know Queen, okay, what's different about this? What makes it weird?
Exactly. Like we all grow up. Well, I've grown up knowing Queen, and I assume a lot of people my age have as well. So we kind of know. Oh, they were one of the greatest bands in their time. So we automatically gravitate toward it. But imagine when those two albums first came out, and you see that. I wonder what people were thinking when they first saw those albums.
I could not tell you. I would pick it up either way because, Sheer Heart Attack is a great album by them. Night at the Opera. Innuendo is an underrated one.
Yeah,
the main title track of that it rivals Bohemian Rhapsody for me sometimes.
Oh, really?
It much. I believe it's called Innuendo. But I was listening to it and I'm just like, okay, this is awesome. Like, we got power ballads. I'm like in the middle of the desert. Oh my God, this is great.
Yeah.
And it's just like, songs like that can just tell a story in just like this 6-minute time period are awesome.
Yeah.
To me.
I
but then
100% agree.
But then you also have albums like Igor by Tyler the Creator, which tells the story of a breakup, of how you're sad, how you break up with the person, moving on. Like that just encapsulates it in like half hour, and it's so seamless that you have to remember certain beats, otherwise you're gonna mix up the songs.
So that's one of the ones that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's one I would recommend that you listen to if you're not big into rap.
Right, and that's because you said that's one that tells a story from start to finish.
It does. It tells the story of just getting over a relationship. And I had that explained to my friend because I'm like, oh, this is a really good album. Like, what is it about? And he's like, oh, it's about a relationship ending. I'm like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
So it goes through that, and great songs on there. I know everyone picks Earthquake as like their go-to sad song they post on their Instagram stories. Like, yeah, good for you. Like, but if you really listen to the album, there's like some great stuff there. It's just good music.
I mean, I love an album that tells a story start to finish, and they're some of my favorite albums too, that cover wise. The first the first rock opera / concept album I've ever heard was Alice Cooper's Along Came a Spider. All-time favorite concept album to this date. Also followed up by Welcome to My Nightmare and Welcome to My Nightmare, the sequel. Both great albums, both great album covers. But they're not the best. They're not the most creative album covers I've ever seen. They're really good, and I think I might be biased because I like the album so much. But they are just pictures of the artist, Alice Cooper, albeit with some costume design, fancy background, stuff like that. But I've noticed a lot that there are a lot of artists who will just take a picture of themselves, and that is the album cover.
Yes.
That's something I don't. It's not that I don't like it. I just can't really get behind it because you have this. What is it, like 10 by 10 square to do anything? Literally, why are you going to use a picture that I could take on my phone?
Well, for some people, I get why. It's the marketability of their value. Like if they don't see, like Johnny Cash is a good example. He became that megastar, and like to tell the difference, like when it comes to Queen, like you have to look for the name, and it's harder to go through, and they want you to like explore different things. To buy a Cash album, you need to look at who is on the cover. which is cash. You know what you're getting. You're getting his music.
Right.
And that's not to say that it's bad music either way.
Oh, no.
And same thing goes for Childish Gambino, like because the Internet album is just his face. It's just the picture of his face, but you know who he is. You know he's Donald Glover from Community. So you pick it up, you listen to it, and you're like, oh, wow, that's really good.
Which I guess is why it appears more in pop music, because part of the pop music industry nowadays is, you know, you have to sell this idol. Like,
you don't just have to sell the music, you have to sell the person.
Right. And that's a different, because a lot of pop artists are single artists. Like, it's their name. Whereas, like, harder genres, like rock, metal, all that stuff, they're bands. They're multiple people behind one song, one album. And, you know, like, there have been rock and metal albums where it's a picture of the band, but it's a bit harder to do that than it is just one person.
It's not impossible.
Right.
I think the one I listed, Pretty Reckless, Death by Rock and Roll, it's just the lead singer on a tombstone, like on a coffin, and she's not wearing any clothes per se.
Yeah.
But like, it's just her. It's just one person. It can work in your favor, but it can work against you if you're like a band, because then you have egos flying everywhere.
That is true. Yeah. But even with that one, it kind of is like an exception to that just one person rule, because there's so much going on around her. She's on a tombstone in the middle of a graveyard, laying there. It's not gradient from light gray to darker gray, Photoshop cutout of the singer's shoulders up.
Right.
Album cover done.
Right.
But I have seen some album covers that'll go even closer than just, you know, shoulders up. Well, they'll zoom into one I've noticed a lot is an album cover where it's just the picture of an eye. Now, granted, they'll like do some special funky effects to the eye, but for some reason, I very much gravitate toward any album that is just the picture of an eye, such as Ember by Breaking Benjamin, White Rabbit by Egypt Central, which is a band I got into last year. I really like them. Heart of an Artist by DA Games. It's such a good song. It's that hard, raw music, and the vocals are like not screaming, but they're more raspy. They're somewhere between like AC/DC vocals and like I don't got another one to do, but it's kind of sounds like, and this is going to come off as an insult, but I mean it in a compliment sort of sense, but it sounds like gargling gravel. It's got that crunchy sound to it, and I love it.
It's probably the best way to describe that.
Yeah. But that album, again, is a a close-up of an eye, and if you examine the album cover closer, there's a heart within like the reflection of the eye, which, you know, Heart of an Artist, it goes with the theme, but once again, artistic masterpiece of an album cover.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier about certain album covers. Like, they can just be art, and you know, can't beat it.
I'm very interested to like know where people come up with this kind of stuff, because I write lyrics for music. I don't know enough about music or mixing to try and make one. I mean, I'm trying to make a song, but you know, I don't think it's gonna come out when I wanted it to. But I'm promising too much, and that's probably never gonna happen. Forget I said anything. But I write song lyrics. Remember that part. But like, if they ever did get made into songs, I don't know if I would know where to start in terms of creating graphics for it, because I do Photoshop and stuff like that all the time. But like, some of these things don't exactly relate to the song. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the title, I should say.
I know what you mean. Like, I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, I can't exactly like come up one off the top of my head.
I got one right. the Weezer "Everything Is Going to Be All Right" album. It's like a walking Bigfoot, and then the album is like completely different.
Right.
And
Yeah, like how does that title relate to that graphic? Like, how did you come up with that? That's what I'm interested in, because I would love to do this. And I guess maybe it's just like, maybe some of them can go by name, or maybe it's just like how the song makes you feel. Because recently, one of my friends put out an EP, I think it was. Yeah. It was like 3 songs. It was called Incomplete Gods. And I got the chance to interview him about it a couple episodes back. But hearing Incomplete Gods as an artist, it put something in my head. It put a picture in my head. And I made a picture based off of that title. I was going to give it to him, to use as like album artwork, but he said he already had a guy, which is unfortunate. But I still really like how the picture turned out. And I actually have it hanging up in my house. So, I guess I can see some way of it. But there are some instances where I'm like, I'm at a loss of how to even visualize this. And I mean, we're talking one still image here. Don't even get me started on making a deep, meaningful, symbolic music video. I didn't know where to start.
You got me beat too. But when it comes down to it, just sort of like making album art is hard because you don't want to like stand out. At the same time, you still want to play to that marketability trend with like what the pop stars are doing, but you also want to be different. And then it comes down to like, all right, what do we do here?
Right.
Like, take what were we talking about earlier? It's on the tip of my tongue. We were talking about Doom 2016. Right. It's an encapsulation of the game. It's a man it's a man killing demons. Like,
right.
I really need to know, and that can be interpreted as art. It can be interpreted as whatever you'd like it to be, because art is anything really. Yeah. It like this hawk riding a pig. It could be art. It could be a good album rap cover, like just this against a black screen. You don't know what you're getting.
Some dramatic pose or something.
Yeah, like dramatic lighting.
This is what you do. You give the hawk regular arms, and then you put the wings on the pig.
That would be great. I would buy that album now.
Title of the album: When Pigs Fly.
Yeah, When Pigs Fly. There you go.
Now we just need, content to put out on the album. Yeah.
Yeah, no one steal it. Copyrighted. It's been copyrighted.
If I knew, like, obviously any set of lyrics can be used as any type of song. It just depends on melody and stuff like that. But I don't know how to write. Well, I probably would if I gave it a shot, but I've never tried to write a rap song, is what I should say, lyric-wise. But another thing, and I think you've mentioned this too, one last thing that really kind of turns me off of an album, depending on how it's done, is, and you did mention this earlier, when there's nothing behind it, when it's literally just artist, song name, background. And I think that's the least creative, like I said, depending on how it's done, but that's probably the least creative you can be with an album cover, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to really say, like, it's not really creative at all.
Right.
Like, it's like, okay, you know what, I reached the point in my life where I can just do, all right, I'm just going to put the name in a black background with Lord's Pure Heroin, and nothing against the album or anybody who listens to it or the artist. It's just like, it's kind of lazy.
Right.
Because it's just going like, oh, okay, it's a Lord album. I know what I'm getting. And then just,
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it just feels like a missed opportunity to me. Like, obviously, you get the fancy fonts, you get maybe a gradient in there. Like, it's not generic by any means, but it just seems like you're passing up a chance to be creative.
Yeah.
That's how it feels to me.
That 100% agree. I think it's kind of like, it's a waste of the opportunity to make something great. And, that could add months, obviously, on to the end of whatever project you decide to do. But at the same time, it's also making, a statement that, like, we put a lot of effort into this. Check it out.
Exactly. I mean, like, Motionless, it's another band, Motionless in White. This is just one I thought of because this is like where I kind of know where the album cover came from. Their newest album, Disguise, it's like almost painted. It's traditional artwork. Like, it's not Photoshop or anything. Obviously, it had to be scanned in digitally or something. But I came across the artist on Instagram who did it, and it's an actual. I don't know what medium it is. I'm going to call it a painting, but I could be wrong. But it's an actual handmade work of art that, they probably brought into Photoshop to put the name of the band on and the album cover. But that's creative. That's artwork there. And who knows how long it took him to do, or him or her, to make the album cover. Because you've got gradients in here. You've got incohesive lines, not incohesive, but like scratchy line work in the background. Like, that is something you could easily do in a digital program, but to paint by hand, I can't imagine how much effort that must have taken.
Yeah. And it's not to, like, say that anything's wrong with not doing that. Like, you can always, go easy on certain albums. Like, Back in Black is an amazing album by AC/DC, but it's just a black background and the AC/DC logo.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, sometimes, sometimes minimalism is the best.
Right.
But other times, like, sometimes you just really want a nice piece of art.
Exactly.
To stare at and to always remind you of that album.
Right. And it's something like that. You can't do it. If you do it every time, that's when it becomes a problem.
Right.
Like, they did it for Back in Black, and that's like the only one that was that simple. All the other ones have, like, there are some other ones where it's predominantly just the name, but they have something else going for it. Their latest album comes to mind, Power Up.
Power Up. Yeah, which is a great album.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like up there with Back in Black and, like, Highway to Hell. It's great. Just the name and, like, an electrical power plant.
Exactly. They did something to their name. They put it in neon, and it's all bright and flashy.
Exactly. Well, a key example of minimalist, speaking of Gambino, because I have been talking about him.
Yeah.
You have not listened to him. He just released an album, like, the beginning of quarantine, like April last year.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
No, it was on the 15th of March. It's just called 3/15/20, and it's just a white picture.
Right.
So, like, that's it. There's nothing else to it.
Yeah, and that's very reminiscent of the Beatles' White Album. Like, you really can't, like, we faulted air quotes Eminem for the very similar design to Beastie Boys. Mm-hmm. But that's because that's an actual design. I don't think you can fault Childish Gambino for copying the Beatles.
Because he has other stuff. Like, he has Camp, which is different. He has This Is America, which is different. Kauai is minimalist, but different. So you can always cop out. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that every once in a while. Like, another album, like, that another person that comes to mind is Chance the Rapper. Like, he has some great album covers, and then he has Holy, which is in the Big Day, which is literally him holding something, and then it's just Holy over the road. Like, sometimes you just need to cop out, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
and there's nothing wrong with,
and it's not
like a good photography picture.
Exactly, and it's not dissing the artist for deciding that you're like, whatever.
Right.
Like, sometimes you just need to. It's sometimes simple. Akom's razor comes to mind. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like, a lot of album covers are very good, but like we said, we don't know the thought process or the management behind a lot of these productions. So
no,
maybe they know what's best, but there are some instances in where it feels like you passed up an opportunity.
Right.
Which, I mean, I'm an artist, so that bothers me.
Right. You can always, take the original art and make something different. Like,
right.
Going back to Pure Heroine by Lord, like, great, you did your name value, but you could always do something like, something spectacular to make it feel like you're on.
Right.
Which is it's like when you're listening, like a way to like drive home. Like when you're listening to this, you're gonna be like, it's like pure heroin. Like you're listening to that. Like that's how you recognize it.
Exactly.
And like same thing with the pictures. Like you can do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes they hide really depressing songs on there.
Oh yeah.
Because the internet is a perfect example. 3005 and The Worst Guys are great examples of like he's talking about just sort of life, death, and all that fun stuff, which is well, it's mentioned, it's hinted. Like if you look at Gambino in interviews, he is an existentialist kind of person. He likes to sort of say, "Oh, we don't matter."
Right. Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, we're nothing.
Yeah.
I think there's one video clip people like to use a lot. There's nothing wrong with that. Like sometimes simple is good, sometimes simple is bad, and you can always like improve upon the original. Like take When Pigs Fly. It's simple, but we could also have like a billion pigs flying and like this like really dramatic art of like the earth exploding and they're all flying away.
Right.
Doesn't always need to be that. Like When Pigs Fly can always just be Rocky the Red Hawk, the godsend that he is, riding a pig.
That is true. Yeah. I mean, it's very, like, despite everything we've said, it's still very circumstantial. Like, it's all on a case-by-case basis. It's up to the artist, well, as much as up to the artist as it can be.
That is true. We take for example, Tay Swift. We're releasing all old stuff because they don't give her any money anymore.
Yeah.
Because she don't even go there.
It's not to say any of them are bad. Just, in my personal opinion, I feel like there have been many missed opportunities to make something out there and creative. And I get there's certain rules behind it and all that stuff. But I'm not thinking of it as from a business standpoint. I like to look at it from an art standpoint.
Like sometimes weird is not always the best marketability.
Right. Of course.
Even though weird could be cool, like we said, the pigs flying away from the earth, that could be really cool. Problem is, who's really going to buy that except for the album cover because they don't know what they're getting into. I know you will, and I know I will. But I mean, like Joe Schmo, who's listening to this, if you're out there, Joe, cool last name. If he's like walking into a record store and he's picking it up for his kid or who wants to really listen to us, rock out. But he's like, what sometimes, it's just better to go simple.
Yeah.
And like, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes artistic expression can be amazing and fantastical, and sometimes it can be weird, and sometimes it can just be Rocky the Red Hawk on a squeaker toy pig with dramatic lighting.
Totally.
So it's all up to the eye of the beholder.
Right. With that being said, that leads us to just about the end of another episode of King's Chaos. I would say we would do a royalty recommends, but we've pretty much been recommending music this entire time.
We might as well. Our top choices for the audiences at home.
You know what? You're right. Let's run the intro real quick and we'll get right into it. 3, 2, 1. And welcome to Royalty Recommends, the end segment of the show where me and my guests both recommend one thing to the audience. And as always, the guest goes first.
Oh, I get to go first.
Yep.
Yay. All right, one that I would recommend for people to listen to. This is a very tough choice. I'm going to say an album that everyone should listen to is either, well, I'm going to just recommend two because,
well, if they're interested, of course.
Of course. If they're interested, Power Up by AC/DC. Yeah. It's great album. And Awaken My Love, as much as we said it's a weird album cover, it is a great throwback to 70s R&B. So.
And that one's Childish Gambino, right?
Yes, that is Childish Gambino.
Cool.
Or Donald Glover, if you've watched Community, like I have.
Oh, boy. I have to recommend... Oh, no. This is going to be a hard one. You got to
do something now.
Okay.
You got to do 2 now. It's only fair.
2? That's fair enough. So, yes. I'm not going to recommend Nate Wants to Battle again. I've done that 2 weeks now. But we'll... Keep him on the back burner, because I really like him and his video game songs. And his original content, too. Well, most of them are original, but I mean the songs not inspired by video games, like the ones from his head. But right. We'll keep him on the back burner. Recommended, but he doesn't count. Citizen Soldier, I will recommend. They're a band I got into last year to 2 years ago, something about that. They have put out an album last year called Down the Rabbit Hole, and I've talked about this beforehand on earlier episodes of the show. Really good. And to my knowledge, the next 2 years, they're also putting out albums. They are releasing singles currently for the first set. It's like a double album. So they're doing like 24 songs in a 2-year period. And they're currently releasing singles. And if you're interested, I recommend Hallelujah, I'm Not Dead. It is such a nice hard rock song. And the message is very good, too. Because a lot of their songs are that, like internal struggle kind of thing. So if you need to something to scream out at the world, Hallelujah, I'm Not Dead by Citizen Soldier, if you're interested. Did I fulfill the criteria?
I would say so, yes.
All right, then. But that brings us to the end of another episode of King's Chaos. This was actually a really fun topic to do. I have been Kyle Pepitone, a.k.a. the Kyng-Pin parentheses of Spades, and you have been...
Mike Foley. Follow me at Not Mike Foley on Twitter, Instagram, and Vero if you have it, or don't. I am not telling you to do anything.
Well, thank you once again for joining me. It's been real fun, and
it's been a pleasure. I have enjoyed my time.
Well, feel free to tune into the rest of 90.3 WMSC, and if you want to see more, you're welcome to check this out on YouTube, Spotify, and whatever other platform this show comes out on, only if you're interested, of course. I will see you all next time. Have a maximum week. Goodbye.
So long.